All right, to briefly recap what we just went over, we discussed the various types of sounds that are in the memory of the Moxf, and to access the sound types, you hit category search, you get your various categories, which you can scroll through and see what they are, and then underneath each category there's a subcategory. You can hit the cursor down button, and then you can see the different types of sounds which are in the subcategory. So let's go back to the concept now of a single sound, which is a voice, and let's take a look at what comprises a voice. So I'm going to go and just select the first sound in the voice category acoustic piano, which is a full concert grand. And there it is. Now I want to look at the individual components of that voice, and to do that I'm going to hit the edit button. And now I have a screen which shows what the name is, and this is, I'm looking at what is the common parts of this voice. So we have different name, and we have the play mode here, which is polyphonic. So you can select, using the soft buttons, you can select different aspects of what we call the common aspects of this voice. How loud it is, a 3-band EQ for that voice, what the controllers do. So you can set all those. What your LFO, common LFO does, and the effect settings. Things like that. Okay, so I'm not going to really go into much detail on all of this, the aspects of editing and tweaking, but let's just suffice it to say that if I want to actually increase the reverb on this, I would hit the edit button and then the common button, and then I would go to SF5, which is, you can see that the button corresponds to reverb in the screen, and now I can select my reverb type, change the different aspects of the reverb time. I can also go to the reverb send by hitting F2 and select the output, and here's, I can increase my reverb amount. Okay, so I've edited this voice, and I'm going to rename it by pressing the F1 General, SF1 Name, and I'm going to call it Full Concert Grand 2. And this is very important. I'm going to store this edited voice to a user voice bank location because it's a preset voice. You cannot store an edited, tweaked preset voice back to itself. You have to store it to a user slot. And again, user means you. That's the bank where you get to put your own custom sounds. And for now, I'm going to store it to user bank 1 and location A1. If I wanted to change it to a different location, I could simply press these buttons here, and I can put it to just any really location that I want to go to. But for now, I'm going to put it in user 1, bank A, and location 1. And I'm going to press enter, and then yes. And then it says executing. And you see this please keep the power on message. And now it's completed. And now, as you can see, it is in user bank 1, 001, or location A01. And there's my stored edited voice. Okay, so now I'm going to further explain what actually constitutes a voice. A voice is made up of up to 8 separate elements, or you could think of these as the building blocks of the voice. So I'm going to hit the edit button, and I'm going to, under the common button, you see these numbered buttons. These are the number for the elements, and I'm going to select element 1. And And you think of each element as like a little separate synthesizer all on its own. It has its own EGs, which are envelope generators, which affect the shape of the sound. It filter, which selects how bright or dark it is going to be. You can do things like, if you select limit, which is SF3, you can select the note range of the keyboard. In this case, this particular element 1 is limited up to G5. And if I turn off the other elements, this is an 8-element voice, by going down to part mute and turning these off, you can see that not only is it range limited, but it is also velocity limited. So let's say that I wanted to change this so that no matter how hard or soft I hit it, I would hear it. I would change this velocity limit, upper limit, to 127, and now you can hear what it was. Let's say I forgot what the original setting was. I just hit the edit button again. It blinks and it shows me what the original value was. Hit it again. It glows steady. Now here's the edited value. All the elements are on again, so I'm going to mute them except for this one element. And you can see that here, the top note is G5. It doesn't sound anywhere beyond that. If I wanted to change it so it went farther than that, I simply go back to this G5 parameter, and I can select it all the way up to as far as the range will go. I'm going to put it back to G5 for this time being. Okay, so now let's look at what the basic core of one element is, and that is called the oscillator. And you can see you select the oscillator by hitting F1. Now if I hit SF1, that corresponds to wave. This is very important. The oscillator is playing back a sample waveform. A waveform is a collection of samples. In this case, you can actually go in and change the waveform number so it's a different sound, a different sample waveform assigned to this element. Think of the element as a box, and inside that box is a paint box. And the paint colors in that box can be changed. So let's say I'm looking at my wave category, and I'm going to change it to something, a different one. Now it's a vibraphone sound. I haven't done anything except change the category. But I can now go down to the wave number, and under the wave category, which is now chromatic percussion, or CP, I can go through a bunch of different numbers, and you can hear things change. Now it's a timpani sound. Okay, the wave ROM inside the Moxf, it contains preset waveforms, and those are all stored in the machine permanently. And they never go away after you power down whatever. They're always in there. And there are something like over 2,000 waveforms in different categories. And again, you can just access them by pressing the increment or decrement buttons, or you can use the data wheel and really scroll like a madman. Now I have a read. And if you want to see what the actual number is calling up, you look at this top of the screen. It says clarinet medium. But you'll notice an interesting thing. Even though it's a clarinet sound, it still has a piano, what we call an envelope, a piano shape. And it dies away like a piano. How would I change that? I have to go to the amp EG. And I'll just quickly show you that by changing, selecting that by F4 and then selecting SF3, I get the envelope shape. And I can see that it eventually decays to a level of 0. So if I want it to sound like an organ and just continually sustain, I change this level to 127, and now you see it stays on all the time. I think that the attack is too sharp, it's too piano-like. So, you know, as you blow on a clarinet, it kind of ramps in. So I'm going to go to this time parameter, or the attack parameter, I'm sorry, and change that. And now I have, see, I'm getting a softer attack now. Go over here to the release, which is too long. I'm going to shorten it. See, so now it sounds more like a clarinet. And again, I have not left this concert grand voice. I'm still just on the first element. So you think of, you can have just one element in a voice, or you can have up to 8. They can be zoned, they can be layered, they can be stacked on top of each other, they can have different velocity settings so that some of them only come on depending on how hard or soft you're hitting. And most important, again, is let's go back to this oscillator page, which we select by hitting F1, and we have the waveform. And you can see that it's in the preset. That means the preset wave ROM, but there is another wave bank category, and that would be user. And the user waves are waveforms that you can load in and place on the flash board, which is an option that you can install. It's a little circuit board. You take a plate off on the bottom of the keyboard. And now waveforms, which are, again, collections of samples, can be loaded in, and they can be stored on your flash board. And now you have access to another set of waveforms. And they could be from a library, another library that is formatted for the either the Moxf or the Motif XF. But again, waveforms are not the same as voices. Voices are made up of elements which use waveforms. And those can be either part of what's in the preset memory or on the flashboard memory.